cold, quiet, and unforgiving. In Cold War military history, some of the deadliest threats never fired a shot. They waited patiently beneath a soldier's boots. Frozen ground, damp soil, compacted snow, these were silent killers across border posts, patrol routes, and forward observation positions from Eastern Europe to Siberia. Many soldiers who survived combat engagements were later defeated by exposure, and at the centre of that reality lies one of the most overlooked survival tools in military history: the sleeping mat. Today on Warcraft Survival, we're breaking down why this unassuming piece of gear became a cornerstone of Cold War survival doctrine, and why its lessons remain critical today. Before we dive in, take a moment to like this video, share it with fellow history and survival enthusiasts, drop your thoughts or experiences in the comments, and subscribe to Warcraft Survival for deep, practical military survival history you won't find anywhere else. Now, let's get straight into it. To understand the importance of the Cold War sleeping mat, you have to understand the enemy it was designed to fight. Cold itself is dangerous, but the real threat is heat loss. During Cold War deployments, soldiers learned quickly that the ground drains body heat faster than cold air ever could. Snow, ice and frozen earth act as massive heat sinks. When a human body rests directly on them, warmth is pulled away through conduction at an alarming rate. This meant that even well-equipped troops using thick sleeping bags could, slip into hypothermia if they failed to insulate themselves from the ground. Military planners did not arrive at this conclusion through theory alone. It was learned through casualties, failed winter campaigns, and harsh field experience. Cold War survival manuals across both NATO and Warsaw Pact forces, they repeatedly stressed that ground insulation was not optional. It was essential. The sleeping mat was the first layer of defense, the barrier that prevented warmth from being siphoned away during rest when the body is most vulnerable. Early in the Cold War, sleeping mats evolved rapidly as militaries searched for materials that could function in extreme environments. Wool blankets had long been used, but once damp, they compressed under body weight and lost nearly all insulating value. So, engineers turned to closed cell foam and rubberized composites. These materials trapped air, resisted compression, and most importantly, did not absorb water. Even when frozen solid, they continued to insulate. This truly was a breakthrough. A soldier could sleep on ice with nothing but a mat beneath him and retain enough heat to survive the night. Field doctrine reflected this reality. Soldiers were trained that the mat always came first when establishing a sleeping position. Before unrolling a sleeping bag or arranging blankets, ground insulation had to be secured. This rule was drilled repeatedly because, honestly, forgetting it could be fatal. Veterans consistently recalled that losing a sleeping mat was more dangerous than losing a sleeping bag. Without insulation beneath the hips, shoulders and torso, the body's primary pressure points, heat loss accelerated dramatically. This was not superstition or folklore. It was, in fact, physics applied in the field. The durability of Cold War sleeping mats also made them invaluable. Unlike sleeping bags, which could fail when soaked, torn or contaminated, mats were nearly indestructible. A punctured or partially burned mat still worked, you know. They required no maintenance, no drying, and no special care at all. For armies preparing for prolonged operations with uncertain resupply, this reliability mattered more than comfort. Soldiers could lose most of their gear and still remain operational if they retained effective ground insulation. The logistical simplicity of the sleeping mat made it one of the most efficient survival tools of the era. Lightweight, cheap, and mass-producible, it offered enormous life-saving value for minimal cost. This really reflected a broader Cold War philosophy of survival engineering. These lessons remain directly applicable today. Modern survival, bushcraft and expedition travel still follow the same physical laws. If you fail to insulate yourself from the ground, your clothing and sleeping system will not save you. Modern foam mats, layered cardboard, dry vegetation, folded clothing, or even packs placed beneath the torso all operate on the same principle established during the Cold War. What matters is creating an insulating barrier that resists compression and traps air. The Cold War sleeping mat also teaches a deeper lesson about survival history. The most important tools are often the least glamorous. They don't look impressive, they don't feature advanced technology, and they rarely get attention in documentaries. Yet they save lives quietly and consistently. High-end sleeping systems mean nothing if ground insulation is ignored. Heat loss through contact points kills faster than exposure to cold air, and Cold War militaries understood this through hard-earned experience. For historians, the sleeping mat represents applied knowledge forged in extreme conditions. For survivalists, it is a reminder that understanding physics matters more than gear trends. Survival begins at the ground level. Always has, always will. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure you're subscribed to Warcraft Survival. Share this video with fellow history buffs and survival-minded viewers, and leave a comment with your own insights or field experience. These lessons deserve to stay alive, because the ground beneath you hasn't changed, and it's still just as unforgiving.